that you have to get your hands dirty. You can't do a startup with a corporate mindset.
When people tell me that I can't do something, I will do whatever it takes to prove them wrong.
लाइफ में ना दो तरह से कॉम्पनसेट होते हो आप. वन इज योर अर्निंग एंड वन इज योर लर्निंग.
Fundamental each has always been खुद करो.
I'm your host, Akshay Datt, and you're listening to Spotlight, a podcast in which I speak to disruptive startup founders.
I am Kartik, founder and CEO of Springworks.
Have you heard of the 10x developer myth? It's a Silicon Valley myth which says that there are some developers who are 10 times as productive as the normal developer. And while I don't know if this is true or not, but Kartik is probably as close to being a 10x developer as possible. He learned to code when he was just 6 years old. And while in college, he built a Facebook app which he monetized and used that to fund his education. He got into Carnegie Mellon University, which is probably amongst the best in the world for a postgraduate course in computer science. He got into science, which is a leading incubator and VC. And probably that early success in life is what caused a few fumbles at this point of life, where he ended up being the CEO and founder of a company for which he raised funds, but which did not find product market fit. So this is when he decided to come back to India and rebuild from the ashes. And what he rebuilt from the ashes is Springworks, which is amongst the leading HR tech companies, not just in India, but globally, with an India-specific product in background verification and global products around employee engagement and retention. So here's Kartik talking about that journey of rebuilding from the ashes to create Springworks 2.0. So Kartik, what's your origin story?
CMU had this final semester capstone project. So again, very wonderful idea where you just literally get time to do whatever you want as long as there's an approval from a professor. You have a professor as a mentor, right? So I said I want to do something on the lines of kind of hiring, right? Because before this, at Science used to hire both US and India for companies, mostly tech folks. And like hiring is so broken. Like we have Google driverless cars. I'd gone to Google office and saw that driverless car, and like this is the world I want to live in. Till that age, I did not know how to drive. I guess I only learned actually last year after COVID. So I'm like, it's unsafe to go in an Uber, and that's the only reason I learned, and only because my wife told me to do, right? Otherwise, I would not have learned, right? Because till then, I was, I guess, waiting for driverless cars to become a reality, right? So I was like, I just felt like this is how the world should be, right? So I was just very fascinated by that. And it's like, okay, if this is possible, why can't hiring be better, right? Why can't we match people with job descriptions better? Why can't we auto rank them? Why can't we auto filter them? Stuff like that, right? So we did our first version, scraped kind of GitHub completely, built all the developer profiles. I think called it like hire a genius or hire a geek, something genius hire type of thing, and said companies can come in, see the entire GitHub user base, and make an offer or reach out to them. And GitHub at that time was very open.
Okay.
Emails were allowed and APIs were there, and we were able to kind of fit, find a fit based on what language they've coded in, things like that. Yeah? So that was my capstone project. Did a couple of these school presentations, like some local competitions there. Won some, lost some. My professor there used to force us to do a lot of user research case studies. We done like I think 40, 50. There's one good thing with CMU is like you reach out to any person in the world and say, student from Carnegie Mellon looking for a user research interview, everyone replies because people want to help students. It's a good brand, stuff like that, right? So kind of got connected to the top companies.
Like
in the
you would
US.
connect to the hiring managers and interview them on
Yes, HR.
problems in
Yes,
hiring.
just what are your problems? Would this make sense? How would you approach it? How much would you pay? As in, we had a list of questions because I'd done this business, course. This was my first, I guess, real startup. Right, had no registration, none of that stuff, but I still had no sales DNA. I was not able to sell to anywhere, to anyone, make zero money. none of that stuff, right? I didn't really know what I was doing wrong. So, and then I just kind of told this CEO of MySpace, Mike Jones, and like, this is what I'm exploring. What should I do? How should I take this forward? It's like, Kartik, you've been with us as an at this time I was still a full-time employee of science, full-time student of CMU, and I was doing this on the side. Like, Kartik, you just come, we'll fund you, we'll find a CEO, because you need a sales GNI. You will not be able to do this on your own, and let's just do it together. Like, done, and visa is taken care. Otherwise, visa in the US at that point was very
Right.
hard, if you would to do your own company and stuff like that. Right? Like, yeah, these guys will handle the visa. Some trust with them. There were seven of us. Everyone wanted to do it. It was like a dream, right? Start your own company in 2014. And in Facebook, in CMU, we had all these guys, right? Cora and Facebook, all of them coming in to pitch us, right? Like, when we entered college, say August 26th, I think August when is the college started, the first company to interview for internships came on September 3rd or 4th. Right? Like, it's been 1 week. I've not studied. We've not learned anything. What do you expect me to? How do you even judge me? They're like, they're not coming for what CMU has taught you. They're coming
Right.
that CMU has filtered
Right.
you, so they'll come here first, right? Like, okay, and as in I did a lot of interviews. All the top ones failed at most. I think I got through Apple, but yeah, I did Facebook, Quora, all of them failed. Most of them, I think probably 50, 60 rejections. And then CMU taught us a lot. How do you do a lightning pitch, one page resume, wear a suit, all of that fancy stuff, right? So I did this, I got through Apple, but then I ended up deciding to work at Science only. But I went to New York actually for a very interesting interview. And that founder was very nice. It's like, kind of to this new, I guess, incoming class of interns, who were there for an interview. And work. You spend more time at work than anything else in life. So regardless of the salary, just choose the place you work, because that is most important. Because if you don't choose the place well, you will just not be happy in life, no matter how much money you have. Right? I think that kind of stuck to me, and was helpful. And I used to do all these hackathons. When I used to go to New York, do these hackathons, win most of them. Actually made a lot of money. Ended up going to Dubai, Abu Dhabi thrice for a hackathon. So got flights and all of that paid. Went to Qatar, Doha, for hackathons. A lot of international hackathons. So it was a lot of fun that way. Actually went to kind of Dropbox office for like a immigration reform hackathon,
Wow.
and then there I met Mark Zuckerberg and Drew Houston, all these Dropbox CEO and Facebook CEO, right? And then ended up winning that hackathon as well. So I have a
Right.
photo with
Yeah.
him. Yeah, that was like a fanboy moment, right? That's Mark Zuckerberg, right? So like, yeah, that's crazy. So hackathons were my thing. I've won a lot of them, and it's fun to do. So yeah, I guess back to the capstone project. So pitched to science and said, okay, now this is what I want to do. He said, yes, let's do it. I'll find a CEO, and he just happened to have a good, business person who would be the perfect CEO for what I would want to do. Right? And he said, let's fund it. We'll give you 250K. Come, we'll work it out. 4 out of 7 folks decided to come in. So me and three more people, all of us, came in here, and then we're all
These were all
like
like your
literally all
CMU
founders, did
batchmates.
everything wrong. Classmates, yes, yes, all non-Indians, all kind of three Chinese and one Taiwanese. Sorry, two Chinese, one Taiwanese, and one me. And we did like the typical thing, is like every single person had the same amount of shares, right? So and that is what is taught that should never be done, but we did that. Yeah, so we started this
But how
company.
would you have done it differently? Because you are all on paper. Yeah, I mean, it's not like any of you are bringing in more experience or some sort of a, like say someone has already done one startup with a track record of an exit, or I mean, there was none of that. Huh?
Correct, correct. Yeah, but as in there are ways, right? I think how much skin in the game you put, or maybe everyone starts at a lower base, but people who stick around more, get more in the
Right,
end, right?
right.
So and that's what people say, or just kind of can you put in some money from your side, or can you take a lower salary, how much effort you put in, stuff like that, right? Who's taking the most risk, right? There, I think there are ways, because we were seven of us, right? All of us were shareholders in the company. I think that's very bad to do, and three of them did not even, you know, come to say California to even start the company because they were like too scared of visa and wanted money, so they went to Google and Apple and top companies, right? Obviously, all very super smart people. Like now, it is what it is, and then like 2015 or end of 2015, I think all the other three also left, right?
Yeah, but they continue to have that stake in the business. Okay.
Obviously, right? Because you vested, and I had armed with this negotiation knowledge with this business school. I had forced, as in Mike Jones, kind of this VC, to vest us before the startup, as in officially starts, to say that we have worked for 6 months on this capstone project, so we should have already vested something. In hindsight, that was the worst possible decision because I'm in it till now, but the others have left it, right? So now it is what it is, right? So yeah, so did that long back 2014, 2015. There's this guy Benno who's the CEO of the company. He taught me a lot, from a business side. We went like literally zero to say $50,000 a month within 9 months of starting, and we just had everyone wanted to use us. SpaceX was a customer. We were like invited to the SpaceX office. Tesla was, I think, not even there probably at that point. A lot of these kind of early stage companies, a lot of them were our clients. But then LinkedIn kind of hinted. So we built a job engine. So use LinkedIn's API. So if you say connect with us, we are able to
Okay.
get all your connections. And then we find someone in your connection who's a good fit for this job at say Flipkart. Right? Because we have the Flipkart job description. We have all your connections profiles. We're able to match and find a good fit. Right? We say, okay, hey, now whatever, Kartik, you have this one person in your network. Why don't you refer that person? If this person gets an interview, you get paid $15-$20, right? So when company gets a warm referral, passive candidate, they're able to convert to an active candidate, and you get some money, and the person ends up getting a nice shot at an interview, right? So worked well, and then LinkedIn kind of I think hinted to us. We had some acquisition, acqui-hire talks. They hinted multiple times. I was like 8 months out of college, like no way, I just want to build it. This is fun. Why would I want to get acquired? Because had that hatred against large companies at that point, and then they shut down the API. So they just shut down the API, and overnight they sent a CND, season desist letter that you are using an API no longer it's valid. So overnight our business kind of went
But you
from
also had a
50 to 0.
GitHub part of the business, no?
Yeah. So there was no network there, right? So GitHub was only kind of one way reach out. So it becomes sends an email, then has cold email and all of that stuff, right? So it becomes like any other software, right? So as in right now, I think the only real software which has done this is Talent Bin, which is acquired by Monster, which is like a Google for people, right? So it kind of as in sources from every single source, right? GitHub, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the sources combines it, has one unified profile. People are able to search. Employees are able to do mass email stuff like that, right? So Talent Bank kind of works very well, effectively. Was acquired by Monster, but not a big exit by any comparison, right? So yeah, did this. Yeah, so came to zero. My CEO also quit. One other founder, classmate quit. Like, yeah, this is too hard. Want to try something new. I wanted to keep going. I kind of got promoted from the CTO to CEO. I pitched to every single investor you can think of, like Axels to Sequoias to Andreessen, like because I got a meeting with everyone. I had the CMU brand. I had the hackathon, brand. People want to talk to tech geeks. Science. Mike Jones was obviously there. I used to go to the Sandhill Road, stuff like that, like almost every day, multiple times a
What
day,
was your pitch?
which was want to kind of simplify recruiting, want to make more, as in the I think initial pitch was like we want to democratize recruiting, right? Want to have every single person becomes a recruiter, right? Everyone has, like, if I were to ask you, do you know someone for this Node.js job, like, I'm sure I know, but I don't know whom, right? But if I say, okay, give me your network, let me comb through it and find a person who's a fit. But yeah, I'm sure, right? So everyone knows someone. We just don't know who is looking for a job now. uh, as in who's a good fit, because we don't have a 1,000 people network in our minds, right? We are not able to search. Obviously, with LinkedIn's API, it is much easier. Without it, is almost impossible. So probably till date, no one has been able to solve this. LinkedIn had tried a product around it, but they also kind of ended up shelving it for, I guess, variety of different reasons. But anyway, my pitch was like, want to do something different than recruiting. Want to use kind of AI to simplify recruiters' job. We tried stack ranking. Give us 100 resumes. Give us a job description. We stack rank them. Give you the basically say first, second, third, fourth, right? So save your recruiter some time. We said we became an agency. So I used to refer, because I had a very good developer network. So I used to refer my friends to these jobs, and in the US you get 25%, right, of the first year salary. So you're referring like 100K person, you get 25K. So I
Right.
made a lot of money for the company just by referring my friends to these hot positions and get 25, to 30, 35K. Right. So like, okay, can we do this with tech? I said yes, but obviously the answer was no, right? Because it was just limited to my network and how much can I do, right? Or like say network of my friends, right? And then we tried Facebook, bunch of other sources. No one really has that rich data, right? Yeah, except even till date, LinkedIn is the only one which really has this data, right? But it's a unsolved problem. How do employers reach to passive candidates? It's someone everyone wants to know, right? Yeah, so this was the pitch to every single VC. Everyone ended up saying, right? It was like, as in everyone was very happy, but they just never followed up, right? So that was the other thing. No one says no. Like VCs don't say no. They just say okay, good, 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 right? But if they don't say yes, that means it's a no, right? That is just another
Right.
learning I had, right? Yeah, so it was a complete was probably the hardest time. I had to, then two other founders quit. We changed business model, tried a bunch of things, got a new I guess co-founder. As in, even though it was like year one, but still got a new person, called him the co-founder. I had a bunch of salespeople, tried an agency model, a bunch of other things. Nothing really stuck on. And I think in Feb of 2016, I said, okay, it's too much time, not working out. And I think 5K, 5,000, $10,000 in the bank. Like I'm done. Just don't have anything else to do, right? And I said, okay, now let everyone go. I was probably the only one in the company, not really taking a salary, stuff like that. But because of the science question, I was seeing what other companies were doing, and there was this other company growing very well, and they needed they wanted to grow their tech team. They were not able to grow that effectively, sustainably in the US. So they said, okay, Kartik, why don't you work with us? Why don't you help me, kind of look after tech, all things tech, right? I said, yeah, makes sense. And I like, you'll have to go to India for this. Like, yeah, actually, this is what I want to do. When India was obviously hot and upcoming, like the culture here always was not very fascinated by the US culture, and this was the often startup ecosystem, 2016 Flipkarts and all of that, right? Okay, now let me go back, and I went back and worked on this company. Now, literally for like I think 18 to 20 months, built a full team. And on meanwhile, I was trying to get my company back, right? Something or the other. Started a consulting shop, picked up some projects, from people I know in the US. Hired some people. I was kind of advising, consulting, and I had folks who would kind of do the coding. So I found very smart folks who would help me. Built up an office, learned all of that, scale teams to whatever,
So this was like a
0
pure
to say
services
50, 60.
business.
Right? Yeah. So as in kinda. So on the one side, I was pure services consulting, but on the other side, where I was doing my actual full time job, that was like I was the whatever tech lead or something.
They didn't object to you doing a side gig, like.
No, so because of the science question, because and they are the only other people on the board, right? So we're very comfortable. They're like, yeah, Karthik, you've actually not given up on your company, because the typical thing will be you just close it off and say, it is a failure, it is what it is. We tried our best, but you're like, you want to do another shot, and you don't want to give up yet, right?
Oh, so the legal entity remained the same,
Yes,
like.
exactly the same. Spring rolling, still stay the same, right? So
And how
yeah.
did you handle the stake part? Like, did the ownership come to you once
No,
more?
no,
Like.
folks had it. as until date they have some, right? So as in some people eventually, I think last year or 2 years ago, I bought back some of them with profits from this, then from Springroll only. So anyway, so in the consulting, as in
But
when,
why didn't you just start a new LLP? Because you were at zero. So now, I mean, now you're paying money to people for stake, to buy their stake for which they didn't do anything. Like,
and then I would not say don't do anything. I would say, yeah, listen, they helped. They also kind of took their best shot, but at the same time, as in until date, I just feel an obligation because I raised money, as in we raised what 600K or something, with, and I was the face of it for the majority part of it. I was like, I want to raise. I think this is the idea. I'm like, I just don't want to call it an like quits type, and I don't want to start something new and then these people feel left out. And I was like, maybe I'll do something, in the HR industry only. And I just don't want to, kind of, if I start a new one and then everyone kind of gets cut out, as in I would think that I'm cheating them, right? That's not
okay.
something I want to do. Like, yeah, they trusted me when no one else was there to trust. Right? As simple as that. I should just honor that trust, and then if they're okay with a 2 year break, I am okay with it, right? So everyone's very kind of comfortable and flexible with that. So I ended up doing that, and then I think 2017 or I guess 2018, it's, started actually rebuilding Springroll around blockchain, right, around background verification, right. So that is and was doing on the side. Now we had a consulting business which is giving us Springroll good revenue, and I was doing my full time job, and then I was doing this on the side, right. Started rebuilding. Then I said, okay, I'm done with not doing this job at Mammoth Media, and I will go full time on my startup now because I have enough cash with me, and company has some cash as well. So I'm going to go hire people and explore this kind of blockchain idea, blockchain kind of backed verification, right? So
So
started
tell me
building
about that
that.
idea. What exactly is this blockchain-backed verification?
So you know how employee verification runs, right? I'm sure you understand. So every company who hires, kind of runs a background check on the person, right? Most people don't do it before hire. Some people do it after you've joined, right? But everyone in the world has to do it, right? That's for compliance and other reasons. So like, and this is you go from Google to Facebook to Apple every time you redo this work, right? So it's
Yeah,
not
right.
once, right? So I'm like, with and with blockchain you can just once, or with say digital signatures you can do it once and reuse that verification again and again, so to save both time and money for the company, right? Then you save time and money for you, and then you are able to pass on that savings to the company. Yeah, this is a seems like a nice use case, and I had previously done like a Bitcoin exchange with Science in 2013, right, when there was no Ethereum, none of this blockchain stuff. I had dabbled in Bitcoin and CMU. Had like like it was one of those cases where I used to mine like Litecoin on my
Okay.
computer
Okay.
because it was that easy. Hashing power is not there, right? And I formatted the computer, like it was like whatever, $5-6. Did not even think about it. Now it would have been like maybe, I don't know, 30, 40, 50K, right? So I lost all of that stuff, right? So because just for a fun perspective, because at that point it was just what programmable money, right? So it is just something, money which can be programmed. And the philosophy is that it's all decentralized. It's internet, no need for any kind of decentralized parties. So you kind of feel cool, and it's a key thing, right? So I had some background there. So I was like, okay, let me and now Ethereum was launched, which is the first time you could do any something other than money, like build real web applications. Okay, let me try this out. It sounds like an interesting use case, and we built a B2B use case on this. We actually signed up Cred as our first customer. They were less than 10 employees. I had previously been connected to Kunal Shah because I was part of this Bangalore startups and had done like an AMA with him. And I just had him as a Facebook friend. I'm like, I started this new thing, for background verification. Do you want to, kind of run your employees through this, background check, right? Like, yeah, we are, less than 10, let's explore. Let me connect you to our HR. And we had, as in we were on Excel sheets. We had literally nothing. And we had built the blockchain piece, but from an HR side, nothing, right? All Excel and stuff like that, right? Google Forms. And as in he, gave us a leap of faith, And he said, yeah, I'll work with you guys. This is interesting. We were doing it differently than the Oddbridge and these type of companies, right? So I said, yeah, let me explore this. And we got them as the first client.
How did
Slowly started
you do the
growing.
verification part of it? Like, isn't that a very manual work? Like, what all does that involve? Like, if you need to do an address, like you need to send someone to check the
Yes,
address and
yes,
stuff like
yes.
that?
Yeah. So as an initially we were like with multiple vendors, as in like one or two vendors who were already doing this. And slowly we started kind of productizing as much as possible. So now we have a way of digitally verifying addresses without sending a person. ID, we have direct connections, with the government databases. Employment, we have our own tool to do drip campaigns, right? So then traditionally employment verification is a person on the other side picking on the phone, calling or emailing. We are like, makes no sense. This is literally a customer marketing, right? It is a drip campaign at the end of the day, right? Can we automate it? Yes, right? We automated that, right? Same thing on education to the extent possible. I would not say it's 100% not done. There is a lot more which we can do, but it will probably never be 100% done because there is an ops element, right? So slowly, initially we were like outsourcing everything, and slowly started rebuilding kind of our in-house ops team, and kind of so tech had a role to play. I would not say blockchain was anything. It was just an enabler. Blockchain to me has always been like it's another piece of technology. Actually, for the longest time we did not even talk about blockchain with our clients because this was that time where RBI and all of them were there, right? This Bitcoin founder got arrested and stuff. Like, yeah, it's scary. Let's not do this because enterprise companies or as in B2B, SMPs or mid market, they like, oh, anything to do with crypto, not even touch it, right? They will be like 10 feet away type of thing, right? Like, okay, so let's now that's how we started building it. Now we work with the likes of now Flipkart and Razorpay, Apollo, Godrej. All of them are our clients, right? So pretty big business. This is a growing business. 2018, 19 itself, from the industry, overall revenue was around 600, 650 crores, right? So it's like now it probably is around I think 1500 crores, right? So it's growing very quickly because people are changing jobs. More and more companies are doing background verifications. More and then more
Yeah, the gig
jobs have been
economy
created.
companies they also want verification.
So we've not done a lot of white blue collar verification. We try to stay away from that because that's a very non-tech business, right? Because it's a lot of
Right.
language and all of those things. We try to stay away from it as much as possible. So we like even in Flipkart they have white collar, blue collar, but we've only kind of serviced for them their white collar stuff as of now, right? So but let's see what happens in the future. So this is how we started growing this type of as in this business. Yeah.
So I want to understand the role of blockchain here. So how a traditional background verification agency would work is that they would have a client. The client would send them every week, like these are the new hires, and then they would start like their workflow to do the verification, and then they would send back a report. Maybe that data of people they verify would be somewhere on their system, like a spreadsheet or something like that. So how does blockchain make this different for you?
Yeah. So one is from a so so one is kind of replacing all of the sheets on a kind of a web app, right? So it's kind of HR seamless real time reports. Right now you have to wait for like say 4 weeks for all the checks to get done before you get a report on a person. So like interim reports, so you get it as soon as ID is done. ID is instant for us, right? We're all API based, OCR things like that. So that's all the non-blockchain piece, right? Where blockchain actually comes in is one is for digital signatures, right? Consents, right? What if you think about it, what is an Adobe e-sign or a DocuSign, right? It is basically a DocuSign certifying that Kartik has signed this document. That's all. Instead of that, we're like, let's just build our own signature platform, and this signed consent is actually saved on chain, right? And it's not a
Okay.
it's
Consent
one
by
of
the
the
candidate.
chance, correct? So consent by the candidate, right? Only by the candidate, and then once a verification is done, right? So this verification also stays on chain, in a hashed format, obviously, which says like it's like how degrees should traditionally be, as in should actually be given on chain, right? Which is like, okay, this person graduated from Carnegie Mellon, this date to this date, this college, this department, and once it's there, then you don't have to redo that verification again, right? Because that's the power of it. So that is what this is only digital
But
signatures part of
that
it,
that
right?
could anyway stay in your web app, that verification
Yeah.
data, like he's
But
verified.
then it's us verifying, as in it's us not verifying, sorry, it's us certifying with the blockchain. you kind of remove yourself as the picture, right? So this is the piece of digital signatures.
So
We
tomorrow,
take a step
a
further.
competitor company could come and ask that candidate for that whatever code is there of the blockchain, and they can.
Replace.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So eventual vision is actually this brand is not a Spring Verify. This does not even exist. Like that's the because if you think about it, like all of this is a waste of money. Like this is only happening because of inefficiencies. Why is background verification happening? Just because of an inefficiency in the system, right? It is not needed. Should not be required, right? Like if the Indian government's vision of the Aadhaar and DigiLockerism was actually done properly and there was enough adoption, you would not even need ID verification. Why would you need? Indian government has done it, right? So eventually,
What is this DigiLocker initiative?
so as the Indian government has this where you can like in your app you can as in you can download an app and add your PAN card and Aadhaar card and like birth certificate and say CBSE 10th and 12th marks, but and they centralized verify it from a database, right? So then you just show that app to anyone, use a QR code, and they can scan for the authenticity of it, right? So that's the
Okay.
as in that was the concept behind Aadhaar and any of these kind of DigiLocker initiative, right? So like land record should be on this, education certificates, employment certificates, right? So that was our goal as well, right? So as an eventually we would replace ourselves. We will not need. And actually, you don't even need verifications from the employer. All you actually go a step further, you need from the people working there. Right? I am looking at Facebook. Facebook verifying me is actually putting Facebook in power, which is not correct, right? Because I may not have left on the best of the best terms. They may take a month, 2 months. Company may have shut down. Lots of reasons, right? Background verification always has it. I should be verifying through other people who worked with at Facebook at the same time. That becomes a true use case of blockchain, right? So because one piece blockchain is two things, right? One is kind of this digital signatures, right? Which is and how do you kind of certify or verify this thing, and then second is what is the consensus mechanism? Why is it better or why is it different than a distributed database, right? What I said till now, consent and verification can be done with a distributed database, but if you take it a step further where you're actually decentralizing it, where every person is a verifier in a sense, then you don't even need you have to rely on a blockchain, public blockchain, right? Something like that. There is incentives to remove spam, incentives to kind of keep bad actors away, right? Which is the essence of Bitcoin, right? What is Bitcoin? It is finally a ledger entry, but without having an RBI certify that I gave you 100 rupees, right? And why? How does that happen? Because there have so many people verifying that, and then the biggest chain lives. I can fork Bitcoin and run it on my own, but no one is going to trust me. They're always going with the longest possible chain. That's the goal here as well, right? So I don't think we've achieved the vision, even close to what we wanted to do, right? So we're still there.
So
We kind of
what you're saying is that there could be like such a system could exist in which everybody is part of that blockchain, and like a question could go to that pool saying that did he work at Facebook, and if majority of people say yes he worked, then it is verified that he worked at Facebook. So his employment verification is done like
exactly
that through a peer verified
100%.
system.
Right? And everything, education is also done like this. Have you gone to Manipal? Your folks have verified. And then you go a step further. You verify your skills. What are reference checks? It's exactly this, right? Like we are in the future, we want to rely more on these cohort-based courses and references and skills and on-the-job training than anything else, right? So this is exactly what will happen. Right? Because people-backed verification is removing all centralized parties. Like like in India, education universities, run a scam, right? If you want to go, like, have you ever tried getting a degree from your college? They'll ask you for 1,500 rupees. I paid you all the fees to do this degree, and now you're asking me one more to print a piece of paper and put a stamp. That's just wrong, right? It's just ethically, morally wrong, right? There needs to be a better way for this, right? So, as an multiple people have tried, but it's not yet been there because
To some
adoption is
extent
very hard.
LinkedIn is doing this with skills because they are like doing crowdsourcing of like what are his top skills.
Yes,
And
100%, 100%. But the challenge there is it's the data stays with one person. So I have a long beef with LinkedIn because we're all using it, we're all contributing, we're all obviously gaining some from it, but finally you're helping that network build. Tomorrow, one fine day, they say, yeah, you have 1.5 lakh followers on LinkedIn, but if you want to post new content, you have to pay $10. What do you do? You can't go overnight. So this is, if you, so web 2 was, this, don't be evil, right? Like that was Google's philosophy, right? Don't be evil, not to their employees and to the world. The web 3 blockchain is like, can't be evil. And then, because not possible, technologically
Yes.
not possible. So I actually fundamentally believe, right? So now things like, even say Google Photos, for example, right now, like say, how the evolution has happened. Web 1 was where you should download, like say, Picasa, or get on your CD, put it
Yeah.
on your
Yeah.
laptop,
Yeah.
run a photo
Yeah.
editing
Yeah.
software, save all your photos. Web 2 was Google Photos, right? Nothing stays on your laptop. Laptop is just a connecting piece, right, to the internet. Everything stays on cloud. You're able to do literally everything you want on cloud. I think Web 3 will be a next version where, like, your phone, the software stays on cloud. The data actually never ever leaves. Now, it may stay on cloud or on your phone, but the keys to that data only stay with you. Right? So right now, hypothetically, Google gets hacked, your photos are lost, right? And we know at some point or the other, something like that will happen, right? Even with Facebook and all, it has happened. In this new world, when this kind of happens, your phone will be your key, as in phone or whatever, right? It's just natural that Apple at some point or Google at some point will launch a wallet on the phone, authenticate by your face or finger, whatever it is, and that is becomes your encryption key for everything. Right? So literally, you have the keys. People will be running private servers, right? Okay, my data is saved in these 5 servers, right? And I'm kind of nominating my 10 friends. So if I am in the hospital for some reason, 9 out of 10 friends can, whatever, 7 out of 10 friends can come together and recover my keys. Like all of those things, mechanisms are built in, right? So that is what will happen in the future. I will not rely on like a Google type of authority to say, okay, you have access to my everything, right? And I was thinking of getting a baby monitor, right? And I'm like, this is so scary to get a baby monitor and then have it connected to a cloud and everything is literally available, right? So there's too many places to attack, right? That is just going to change. And I think at some point, like, you literally have a box in your house and that's where that is your cloud, right? You have redundancies and all of those built in. But I think that is what will end up happening. So I think that's like a very futuristic vision. Samsung launched a blockchain phone, I think 3 years ago. I don't know what is the adoption, but I think some point or the other, these type of things will happen. Probably Facebook does it with their metaverse thing, right? And Facebook say overnight can get 1.5 billion blockchain users because WhatsApp becomes a wallet, done, right? And that becomes your gateway to everything, right? Can happen easily. When or if, it's just a question for them, right? So anyway, so now back to us is like, this is how I think the eventual way of verification will be like, and hiring will become that simple where, like, yeah, I'm seeing someone's on chain, blockchain resume where you've done all of these 10, 15 things, 100 things. You have references, you have endorsements, you either digital signatures, whatnot. And I don't want to do 5 rounds of interviews. All I want to do is like a quick call and just get hired, right? Why do I want to assess your technical skills, right? Think about developer interviews or even other. A developer goes through the same exact round 10 times, right? Every single company are doing the same exact. Why does this happen, right? Why can't that be, in a better way? Again, lot of social reasons for this to exist and stuff like that. But I think at some point, candidates will be in a very candidate talent driven market. They're like, I am not going to do this, right? So which is why re-level by an academy also exists, right? Or hacker rank. This was the philosophy. I will build my hacker rank profile. I will solve those things. You will look at my hacker rank, pass me 2 rounds of interviews. I don't want to do this. Top candidates will demand, right? Like, if someone has 10 years experience, you say, oh, go do 5 interviews at my Series B starter. Like, I'm not doing it, right? Obviously, it's Google, then things are different, right? So I think things like with things like this will just happen.
So even the
So
candidate
anyway,
scores
yeah.
or whatever on various tests and
Hmm.
assignments would also be on the blockchain.
Definitely.
Mhm.
So may not be completely visible, obviously, with privacy built in, right? So obviously the candidate has all these details. If he or she wants to share, you can share, right? So I think that is how it will end up happening.
This still sounds a lot like LinkedIn, except like a decentralized LinkedIn.
Yeah, 100%. So LinkedIn has most of these things. You can add scores, you can add all of this. It may not have that adoption as of now, but as in for cutting down interviews, whatnot. But they have definitely tried. Yeah, but decentralization is where it comes in, right? Like right now, if I have to message you on LinkedIn, I have to pay $10 to LinkedIn to message you for an invite. You get zero out of it. That is going to change. It's just natural. This creator economy kicks in. Like I am Kartik. I have 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. I want to get paid, right? This is me, right? As in now people have monetized that with a cohort-based course on influencers, whatnot. But you are literally giving LinkedIn value. I'm giving value to them every single day, right? But not able to monetize that, right, at all. So some people have tried it in the past, right, where you say book a call with me for 15 minutes for $15, $1 per minute. There have been multiple experiments. Some have failed, some have been successful. There are obviously the extreme version with Black Mirror, where yeah, you walk into like a hotel and you have your Black Mirror score, and then whatever that score is, and you get a special upgrade, or you get to participate in that community. I don't know if we will ever reach there, but no, but we are already kind of getting there, right? If you're a Twitter influencer of say of 1 million followers, walk into any hotel and as in pitch it in the right way, you will get the best possible room, best upgrade and all of that. I think we're already there. People say we're not there, but that's just being unrealistic, right? All this just becomes 10 times better with the blockchain world, right? Because you kind of have that creator economy built in, right? And you're not relying on one party. It's global from day one. You're not kind of at the mercy of a centralized company. They change their 1 year LinkedIn does not meet their revenue targets. No, next year we're going to charge every influencer for paying $10. Twitter is now doing a Twitter Blue, right? Doing subscription surveys, right? As in good and bad for them, right? But at some point there will be a different solution for all of this, right? What is it? How does it come? Is yet to be seen.
So, from a business perspective, like specifically Springworks perspective, so there are two parts that you're building. One part is like a traditional business where you're making money, which is verification as a service.
Correct.
And the second part,
Yeah.
which you are doing almost like a philanthropic thing, is you're putting it on the blockchain so that tomorrow nobody needs to pay money for verification again.
Yeah. Kind of replacing us. Yes. That's
And
the
that's
eventual
pure
goal. I think.
philanthropy. Like there's no long-term asset
Yeah.
value of that, what you're putting on the blockchain.
No, so there will be a token around it. So they will. Right now there is nothing, but I think in an ideal world there'll be like a token economy built around it, right? So where
Like there'll be a
given that
coin,
we are
like there'll be like say a
correct.
spring coin, for example, or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So we tried with that, was did not really work, but we'll try with it again, like a spring coin where like that is kind of used as a transaction fee to set up a new profiles, verify someone. So you pay in spring coins, and then because a limited number of coins, the coin value increases, right? So it's not
And
really
you would
philanthropic,
hold a large
right?
pool of those coins, so therefore that.
Because we'll be the initial creators. Yes, 100%. Eventually, every single user, every single profile creator gets a certain point. So everyone is kind of incentivized to push this network forward and stuff like that, right?
And people
So
are
all that
incentivized
will
to get
happen.
on it because then just creating a
Yeah,
profile will make them earn a coin. And
exactly. And then you are incentivized to get in early, because maybe now you get one, and then a year later you get point 0.5, or 2 years later you get point 0.1, right? All that early, creator economy, right? So and that is how. So the yeah, this token needs to be there, because it's obviously not for philanthropic reason. It will never work. I don't completely believe in this DAO world and completely decentralized versions of it, because I think you still need, and for lack of a better term, you need like a centralized party or someone driving it forward, but with the right incentives and
right,
mechanisms
right,
built in, right?
right.
So say for as in God forbid I were to just stop doing this, I end up dying. This should not stop, right? Should just still run. Maybe what will happen is like a big portion of the tokens were with me, so those are now lost forever. But someone else could just fork it and kind of reuse the same type of data, right? But that's the thing with Bitcoin as well, right? Like and it exists without any person, but that obviously Satoshi and all and the initial folks have pushed it, adopted it, stuff like that, right? So I think the same kind of vision, but and then how it kind
So
of plays out is
why
something we
didn't
need
your
to see.
token experiment take off? You said you experimented.
What happened?
Yeah, so multiple reasons. We launched on the Ethereum blockchain in 20, I think 17. I there was to kind of say set up a profile. You have to pay like around say $20-$50, and say if I tell you you have to set up a LinkedIn profile or you have to add like a work experience and you have to pay
Hmm.
$10, no one is going to
Yep,
do
yep,
that,
yep,
right?
yep, yep.
That is one. Second is the adoption for a blockchain project is still very hard because you have to set up a wallet of a just long string of characters, save it, and you can never lose it, right? And you have it, you write it on a piece of paper. Otherwise, if you lose this, this is not like a password where you can recover. There's no recovery in blockchain, right? It's lost and lost, right? So it's, I think the consumer version is still not built well, right? Even now, if you see, it's 2021, 2022, right? Most of the blockchain apps are from a finance perspective, right? Where as in you're so vested and you're literally making money, and so you'll obviously put in that effort. There's no real consumer applications, right? Only now, I think, like literally yesterday or day before, Brave, which is like a Chrome offshoot, I think by the Firefox founder, they built a browser wallet. So that becomes very powerful. That means okay, every single application now does not need to do their own logins, passwords, email, nothing of that stuff, right? The browser takes care of all of that, right? Is it good enough? Is it decentralized enough? May not be because Brave, I don't know how much they have, but they're definitely open source and right principles. But obviously, I have not kind of evaluated, right? So I think now it's different. So that was the other reason we failed. And then I think lack of focus as well. We're like, okay, B2B is kicking off well, so let's just focus on it. India's crypto situation was also bad. Like at some point, like as in completely banned, and some of our, and I guess most of our employees at that point had tokens. I was like, what do we do? Like, we have to take it from them because then it's not just my risk, but their risk as well. What do we do? As in it was at some point it was like out of that, okay, holding crypto is also going to be legal. As in, it's not just it's not that you can declare and be safe, but it's just holding is itself is illegal, right? No idea how they will ever implement and stuff like that, right? But so it was very scary. So we, I guess, chickened out and we said, okay, no, 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 not doing, not touching now. Let's focus on our BGB now working well. Have these kind of customers that's going to put blockchain on the backbone, and we still use it as a technology piece, right? And this is growing. Signed up customers, team started growing. We went from I think 0 to 50 to 100, and now around 200. We launched a couple of more HR products as well.
Your bread and butter comes from background verification as a service. And what do you charge for that?
So depends on the checks and verification, but like ID probably starts at say I think 49, 99 rupees, and then there's employment, there's education, there's court cases, address, there's police, then there is drug tests as well, the civil checks, global database. So really depends, but generally most companies end up doing this. Master verifier, which is like 1199 rupees, 1199 per person. So kind of covers like ID, code, address, last two employments, one education.
And this service background verification, how much of your top line comes from this? I'm guessing all of it, or you have other
No, no. So
revenue
no,
streams?
this is one of the ones we have other, which is kind of these new product lines we have, and we still run our consulting business. The one I started like in 2016. So that is actually from a top line perspective, that is probably the biggest one. But yeah, these products also kind of this is not really SaaS, background verification, not SaaS, it's pay as you
Yep,
go.
yeah, 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 yeah. Right.
It's kind of good and bad. But yeah, and we have other two new products, which and one is a year old and the other is like probably 6 months old, which are purely SaaS.
Okay. So tell me
And
about these products.
yeah, so both in the employee engagement post hire space. So we were like, as in BGV is it's nice, but it's a lot of ops, it's a lot of non-tech as well. It's not SaaS. There's kind of a lot of sales there, as in there is a product play, but it's not a lot of product, right? As in we
Yeah.
are probably better than most, but and I think there's quite a bit we can do. And the market is growing as well, so which is good, which is not the case kind of 2-3 years ago. Yeah. So we can said, okay, let's focus on the post hire, right? So now the focus from in HR employee perspective also changed from how do I hire faster and better because it has gotten very crazy. How do I retain? How do I build my culture? How do I teach my employees, especially post pandemic and even, right, even as in before that. So So employee engagement, we have engaged with, which is like a rewards recognition piece, right? So kind of took this traditional way of recognizing people once a year, performance reviews, it's like that, to more instant, right? So you do something nice today, you get recognized by your peer, it gets turned into an Amazon gift card, gets posted to your wall,
Okay.
everyone else is able to see, get social gratification, right? So it's that instant feedback loop attached to a company value. So not waiting for a month, not waiting for a quarter, not waiting for the end of the year. 2 out of 3 employees leave a company because they feel underappreciated, underrecognized. So here the benefit is that you are able to do it, you are able to democratize again. So it's peer, not top down, and every person gets a certain amount of points to reward their, reward and recognize. A lot of enterprises do this. They do it over email. They do it kind of with a lot of approvals. Here we do it over Slack.
And it's
Right?
centralized. Like there needs to be a boss or an HR
Yeah.
who
Someone who
just
needs to approve, yeah, or even even initiate, right? So here we have like we doing it Slack, which is the office, right? Even if you are completely in office or hybrid, whatever it is, you are using Slack or Teams, right? So that is quickly become your communication channels. We're like, okay, we'll use that wall. And traditional ways, send an email which goes out to your entire list. People say, oh, no, congrats, congrats, congrats. It's a lot of email thread. Here it's like inside now Slack with gifs and emojis, and people react plus ones and stuff like that. So a lot more engaging than other ways, right? That's one. Second is
and this
it's
purely built on Slack, like it's
yeah,
a
Slack
Slack.
and Teams.
Okay, okay. Teams also
Slack and
allows
Microsoft
these
Teams.
extensions, so it's like a
Yes.
channel or a chat bot
Like
inside.
an app, yeah,
Okay,
app or a bot.
okay.
Slack calls it apps, Teams calls it, I think, a bot plus an extension, right? So and then the other feature here is like how do you listen to employees effectively, right? Like people don't really do feedback surveys. People do 360 again, once a year, once a quarter. Employees want to be heard. Employees want their feedback to be taken seriously. Employees want to give feedback to managers. Managers want their feedback to grow better. How does that even happen, right? How that HRs end up sending these traditional surveys through whatever HRMS, Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, long surveys. You do context switch from email to go there, fill up a page. Very boring to do it, right? And so we said, okay, can we do what CX consumer customer automation customer experience, which has done with chatbots and in-page surveys, to do the same thing for employees, right? Which is employee experience, right? So we did inside Slack, inside like a bot, you're talking, so you feel like you're talking to a person but you're actually answering a survey. So you get the insights. You're able to get say 75% response rates within like say an hour or 2 hours, right? Which with something else would be a lot of reminders. Please do this, please do
Right,
that,
right.
and it takes a lot more time. Here you feel like you're answering one question, just one after the other, almost like a quiz type of thing. Right? It feels a lot more fun to do this. So that's what we've kind of built, and this has some additional features like recognizing people on their work anniversaries, right? So recognizing for their loyalty, celebrating birthdays, some admin control stuff like that. So I feel at some point the conversation will and the overall education market will shift towards the culture. How do I retain better? Money is not going to be the only thing. Even the hottest company, the most funded company, has the same retention problems, maybe less than non-funded one, but they also have it because the culture is not great. Employer branding is not there. People are not being heard. There's no recognition, appreciation. People are not going to wait for a year to get a hike. Now you can do that with 3 months, 6 months by getting another job. Why would you wait for a year? Right? So all of these things are going to increasingly be more important. So then we also have one more product line, which is like a more around team bonding, similar like on the post bias, right? Just like how do you kind of break these silos? Right? So sales and dev does not have any work picture.
On the listening product to listen to employee feedback, that is again on Slack and Team only.
Yes, yes, yes. Only Slack. So we have taken a conscious call only Slack and Teams because I think if you're not on Slack and Teams, you're not a ideal typical customer for us. You probably are not the one who again scared so much about employees and now and then the experience is not there because a web email experience is already broken. And it's there's not much you can do even if you're on WhatsApp, very similar, right? So there's not much you can do, right? So I think Slack and Teams is kind of a given.
But companies using G Suite, like Google has this chat product also, although it's not as good, but can you build for that also? Is that in
We
your?
actually tested it out, very limited, very limited. As in Google, we have one of the featured apps there as well, a very small version of what we built. But yeah, it's just very limited scope. They've not yet opened it up, but I have a feeling they will, right? So, as in you are 100% right. Cisco is doing it. Zoom is also doing it. Zoom has its Slack competitors like Zoom Chat. Very few people use it, but they already have it. So, where you can have channels and apps and bots and all of that, right? We have developer access there as well. So, but I think a lot of, I mean, if you think about it, all of these companies will end up building. Facebook as a workplace product, where it's exactly like Slack again, right? So I think all of them will, end up building something like it, and it will only get powerful with apps. Right? Why is Slack so much more is widely used? Maybe at this point, obviously, Microsoft is there because of the enterprise subscription, but before that was only and the reason was the ecosystem of integration was very high. Right? You could bring in Salesforce, CRMs, and payment, and sales team to create a razor pay invoice, Stripe invoice, and, get new hire onboarding, all of this. The integration was very high. So, which is not the case with other platforms. I think everyone else will also end up at the same place, right? Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Cisco and Google Chat and Facebook, and there are a bunch of others. Zoho has also something. So I think
Okay.
ecosystem is all. As in, communication platform is very similar. We obviously want to go after the one which is the biggest, right? And once we, I guess, cover a significant portion of this target market, then think about something else. But right now, it's a distraction.
Got it. Okay. And the team bonding product?
Yeah, so that's one as trivia. So that is, like breaking these kind of silos, right? So you have sales team and dev team, which are never talking to each other, right? How do you then they don't have any work with each other now in the office? They would have kind of met at like a coffee station or like a foosball table or something, right? That does not happen in a hybrid or a remote setup. How do you break these silos? So we build like a virtual coffee type of thing, right? So connect randomly connect to people, give them an icebreaker set of questions. So you have something to talk about. Otherwise, it's me and you getting on a awkward video call, and people by nature are not as in we're all social animals, but we need something to break the ice, right? So that's how kind of we do it, right? So breaking those silos, getting people closer together, and then fun games like we have a 50,000 question bank, right? So which is kind of updated, say James Bond, Thanksgiving and Diwali and whatnot, right? So you can play games together. It's more to kind of take the headache from HR. Say, you set it up, you schedule it, and you forget it, right? You get your 25, 40%, 50%, of the company engaged on it. Like we show a quick 3-second GIF of a movie, you need to guess the name of the movie, right? So all those kind of fun things, right? Dictionary and stuff like that. So kind of gets,
Built for an
has
Indian
fun games.
audience or global audience?
No,
Like,
no, global.
because
As in, we have
okay,
way more global customers, right? Quora, Shopify, all of them use it. As in, there are customers in India, but in India, the challenge right now is that people think this as as a fun product, so they don't really want to pay for it. Right? We probably have a lot of companies and they're using us. Most of the unicorns use us, but at a free plan. We have a freemium product there. We feature on the Slack store, rank one for almost a year. But globally, people see this now as a value. They're like, I have a budget now for employee, engagement, team bonding. Earlier, you used to take out people, whatever, on food and stuff like that. Now, this is doing some part of the job, which is getting people closer. It's not a lot of my personal work required. You can do custom questions, right? You can do multiple formats. You get nice fancy reports, and it's kind
and
of
this is
helping
also
break the
on
ice a
Slack
little
and
bit.
Team only. This team bonding
Exactly.
app. Okay.
This is actually also on Google Chat, but we took a step back and as in have not really done anything because the experience is just not there. Yeah? It's only Slack and Teams. So, because it's on your phone, on your laptop. Don't have to install anything. Only the admin installs. Everyone else is able to play, right? So,
Right. Right.
employee perspective is very easy to engage. It's the easiest possible thing an HR can do, and you get some good, quick rewards. People have said winner of the month will get a special Amazon, 1,000 rupee gift card. So people have done their own things. Because there are obviously trivia nerds, quizzers in every company, right? Who want to win, want to be better, right? So this kind of works for them as well.
So these products are largely getting more traction outside India than in India, and the background verification is pure India. Like
Yeah. So we have tried in the US, but I think as in it's still there, but we've not failed. We'll probably roll it back. As in we failed. US is a very different beast. Compliance is very huge. Something I completely underestimated and did not really think about it. Compliance is very hard. You have to do compliance from day one. US compliance is a lot more harder. Every state has its own rules. Every district, sorry, every city has its own rules. And in US, you don't go to a SaaS company for or like a third party for a background verification. It's all integrated with your HRMS. In India, we're not yet there, right?
Okay,
Like
okay,
Indian
okay, okay.
HRMSs don't even have. So their entry is very hard because you have to be very big, very well funded to get enter to these HRMSs, and otherwise they don't even entertain you, right? So Checker is obviously the market leader there. Does very well. But obviously it's a big market, so I think there is a way to solve it. I just don't have the answer, and we don't want to focus on it as of now because this piece is growing very well. Yeah, so this is India background verification for all practical purposes, all India. The other two are trivia is definitely very global. Engage with, I think we'll see a lot more global. When I say global, more English speaking. I think engage with we'll probably see a lot of Indian customers also use it because I think given this recent VC funding happening in India, which means talent shortage is real.
Right.
People are leaving companies faster. Employer branding is becoming, as in it's not just a gimmick; it's becoming real. Listening to employees is very important. How do you build like a feedback culture? How do you build a rewards recognition culture? That is becoming increasingly more important. So I think companies in India will also start thinking about this seriously because maybe not at the 50 employee stage, maybe at 100 employees. Or like why I'm seeing people leave, and no matter how much money you offer, they're not sticking around, right? So there are other reasons.
And what are the pricings for this? Like $1 per user per month, something like that?
Yeah, so it's $2 per user per month, for engage with, and then trivia kind of comes out to be around say 90 to a dollar per user per month, something around. So it depends on active users only. We only charge for the people who are actively using. So we're incentivized as a company.
Hmm. Okay. I can see on your website you also have this recruitment applicant tracking system.
Yeah. So another thing which we built, I think a while back, 2 years ago, it's a free to use applicant tracking software. The goal for this was to kind of build a funnel or a lead gen for our rest of our businesses, right? So
Okay.
this kind of organically growing. We've spent I think $0 on marketing, and I fundamentally believe ATS at some point will go to zero. Right? And then ATS is also something which started from $100 to 1,000, 100,000. And now we have these no code ATSs like Notion, Airtable, and Google Sheets and all of that. Like they can pretty much do a lot of the work, right? We'll just go down to zero at some point, right? And like let's just start there. Let's give it out for free. Get these kind of early stage companies and 0 to 50, 100 employees. Beyond that, we're not a fit. And we're very clear. You have to go to like you need a lot more integrations. You need a lot more compliances. You need a lot more kind of automation triggers and stuff like that, which we don't have. Like yeah, let's focus on this, and people like it, and get organic usage, and then we kind of get a lead gen through for our other businesses as well.
Okay. So, what is your top line going to be like this year? Like, how much revenue are you doing now?
4.1, 2.2 million.
Okay. Dollars.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And do you plan to do a fundraise? I don't think you need to know because
No,
you have that
no.
services
We
business.
are profitable, as in even these products are kind of profitable, so we don't want to. And for multiple reasons. One is, I, like fundamentally, like if you were to give me say $10 million today, like I don't know where I would deploy, right? And I'm a very strong. And if I don't have the answer, I just don't want to take the money for it. And if I don't strongly believe in it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense. That's one. Second is, we have a lot of flexibility the way we want to work. We want to be remote. We believe a lot in asynchronous work versus synchronous, and it comes at certain cost, right? You can't move at the speed of VC funded company. Right? You can't be like 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, working on Saturdays, Sundays, right? There's the remote. It's nice in a lot of ways, but there are certain disadvantages. Like you can't have that hustle and bustle of a typical office, right? So which comes at some speed for sure, right? We don't want to do that. Then I don't want to do it personally. Other folks in the company don't want to do it. That's not the culture we want, right? That's the second reason. And third is I think the overall HR techs industry. at least in the traditionally the last 5 6 years, has not seen any VC funded companies, right? For all we know, like Belong was probably the only one in the last 5 6 years in India. Right?
This Darwin
How
Box recently raised.
recently raised, right? So how many? You can count on your fingers,
Yep,
right?
yep,
As in,
yep, yep.
obviously, insurtech you will have so many, fintech will have hundreds, right? So now there are more. But I'm saying 5 years, 2015, 2020, even in the US, there are some, right? Lattice is there. There is like obviously the big Workday and Indeed's parent recruiter there. There's not that many compared to other typical industries because the buyers are very few. Right? And a HR Tech company can't really sell to like an Infosys or someone, right? You end up selling to like a Workday or like a Recruit, or literally like two big buyers, right? And unless like whatever Salesforce and stuff like them have come into the space. So I think fundamentally this is not a very, and the sales cycles are also long compared to others, right? You are selling to the HR, which is not the easiest place to sell to, right? As I'm sure you understand, given being in this space, right? So I don't, for most of these reasons, just don't believe we want to raise money. It does not make sense. I think the biggest reason is like if you were to give me this whatever pile of cash, what do I do with it? I just don't have an answer, and I want the flexibility we have in terms of how we want to work. The pace at which we work is also very important, and what we want to do with it, right? So I think I am still kind of you know uh, I guess fond of this blockchain idea. So I would want to come back if it's a typical VC game. They're like, yeah, take this. You have the BGV growing, cut everything else out, focus on one thing. Just do that, grow. 2x, 3x, 4x. Like from last year, this year we already 4x our BGV business. Now can you go to now can you 4x it again? Can you 10x it again? Now can you hire 10 more salespeople? Like no, as in I don't know if that's what I would want to do. As well, like with a 5 10 year commitment.
Hmm. So this seems like a good time to launch it again. No, I think because of Solana and all the cost has come down significantly.
Correct. With Ethereum, Solana, L2 chains, Polygon, Matic, all of them have definitely come down. I think the cost has come down, but I think the consumer adoption is still a question mark, right? And as a new application, I don't think we can really do that well, because you can't do so many things well, right? And this already is a very hard problem. So I think the adoption still needs. So maybe with this Brave wallet, it will happen. But I have a strong feeling in the next 6 months, 1 year, like we will see a lot more wallet adoption. Just as in wallet providers, and who will be more natively integrated. Maybe Apple is the one, Google is the one, or maybe Chrome comes up, right? So Chrome comes up with a wallet on its own. Like overnight, you have like whatever 100 million, 200 million wallets, right? Right now, MetaMask, which is by far the biggest wallet, is what 20 million active users or something, right? What is that in compared to like like is that your overall addressable market? It's too small, right?
Right,
Way too
right.
small. Obviously, if you're building a fintech use case, then yeah, you can. That is more than enough to build something very large, right? And which is what people have done. But the utility wise, still we are still, I guess, months or years away from the blockchain world, right? Because if I were to ask you, okay, have you made money in blockchain? You probably say yes, but have you seen any real utility? You probably say no, right? NFTs are cool. Then there's some utility, which you're kind of owning a piece of art, but that is what it is. At least as of now, there's a lot more to it, right? I think at some point we'll have these kind of say kind of NFTs, but non-transferable NFTs. We call them kind of entities, and there are other kind of standards for it. Like I'll say, you went to Stanford, you have that pin with you. You
Okay,
can get into Stanford communities.
okay.
So you can't sell, but it's a token gated community, right? You work at Facebook, have that token, get into those communities, right? You brand it, now you have it, you showcase it, right? So it's just natural, because right now what is
And
happening
these
is
tokens, for this to happen, there needs to be a consumer wallet first, so that the tokens can reside
correct,
there. And
and you can use it across different apps, right? Because right now what happens, alumni networks are very powerful, right? And but it's all controlled by the college, right? Unless you do it separately, then how do you
a
verify all
volunteer
of those
run.
things?
Hmm.
Volunteer run, and then how do you even reach out to those people? There's no list, right? And then how do you verify if these people actually have gone, right? There's none of that stuff, right? So I think at some point these things will happen, and there'll be a lot more interoperable kind of web3 apps, right? A lot of it is, I think it's a lot of it is just talk now. I think a lot of it will just kind of end up being executed, but there'll be a lot more interoperable things. I built a million followers on Twitter. Can I take this to a new network? I should get the first preference because I'll be able to bring them a lot more value. I can take them with me, whatever, right? I think so things like that will happen, right? How it happens, I think, is still kind of needs to be seen.
So, my last question to you: how have you changed from when you were at Manipal today?
Yeah, so I think in a lot of aspects, obviously, I think one of them would be like from from tech to like actually more on a business, product side is what I have, I guess probably done the biggest change. So and then I would, if I would earlier code 100% of the time, now it's probably like 10% of the time. I think that thinking, kind of that thinking, oh, tech can solve everything has, kind of changed, right? I'm like, no, it is not the case. It's actually, you can't just, build and then expect people to come, right? I think I've understood the real way of building a startup, right? What is the problem you're solving? What is the solution? What is the market, stuff like that, and validate it and stuff like that. So I think that has been, by far the biggest, thing. And then second is just kind of understanding people, how to work with them. I think that's like, to me, that is very exciting. Like I would, as in our company as well, the dream is to be completely async, right? We used to have a stand up every day. We moved to 1 day a week. I was like, why do you need to have a stand up? Stand up is all getting on a meeting and talking about what you did yesterday, what you will do today. Remove all of that, automate all of that with tools, right? Jira is automatic, GitHub, all of these can be done. Talk about blockers, talk about architectural decisions, talk about things you want to discuss, right? So, remove the need for meetings and be more async, right? You want to talk to someone for a call, don't say, hey, let's chat. That's wrong, right? It's wrong for that person, it's wrong for you. Just say, this is what I want to talk about. This is the urgency. This is what I have done, right? You have a doubt, stuff like that. Send a voice note.
How many people do you
Slack
have right now at Springworks?
220.
And how often do you have now these like company-wide meetings and stuff like that?
Company-wide town halls, we probably do once a quarter. But I do a weekly update, right? It's across, what's on top of my mind, or metrics and stuff like that.
Which would be
So
like with a core team or a
it's
leadership team?
no, to everyone actually. Yeah. So everyone in the company, and so I believe in like this async thing, right? Like, can we do it through a video note, an audio note, right? So
Okay.
eliminate the need,
Okay.
because Jeff Bezos also, if you think about it, like he said, right, and he used to force meetings, get into a meeting, first 15 minutes, read a piece of paper, don't talk. Because agenda as an agenda for a meeting, structured meetings are very helpful. Otherwise, meetings are what, 10 people into 30 minutes, all wasted. Do it in an async structured way, right? And do voice notes, do video notes. We have all these technologies there. So why do you need to get on a call? Obviously, sometimes calls are very useful for brainstorming because you don't get that on a asynchronous way. So use that time. Can't be doing calls all day, right? So I think that's the way of working. And it's kind of helping. Like we are around what 4.8 on Glassdoor with around 225 reviews, right? Probably the highest in this country. So it's helping. People like it. People like the way we work. They like the culture. But then, like any other company, we have people leaving us as well. But we actually have people coming back as well. Like, no, I went to this company and the culture was too bad. I can't, work there. For everything, people ask for a call. Now there's a better way of working. I want to be, remote. I want to be more productive. And because here you are truly removing yourself from the picture, right? You're removing the dependency on you, right? You're saying you work at your own time, right? And that is how, 5 years down the line, of like, you will not work at a company. You will do three companies together, right? And it will be so structured. You'll be like, okay, I work best at 12, midnight to 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., right? That is when I want to work. And no one else has a need. I'll get on a call and stuff like that. But that's 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, max. Not 9 hours a day and stuff like that. So I think kind of getting there, I think it is going to happen at some point, right? So I think we just want to be ahead there, and async is definitely the way to go, right? So a lot of focus on employee culture and on employee kind of productivity, how we work is very, very important.
So, in a way, like the biggest perk a company can offer its employees is being asynchronous or making work
100%,
synchronous.
100%. Yeah. You ask any person who's working remote, right, what is your biggest pet peeve? Too many meetings, too many video calls, don't want to do it, right? Async solves for all of that. You ask, okay, let them all go to the office, right? Ask after a year,
But
do you like being in the office?
there would be one type of employee who would crave uh, that social experience of feeling
I think it's a
connected.
myth. This is how we are tuned. It's the problem of the society. Talk to our parents. You crave social connections. Did they work in the office for 12 hours? No, they work for 8 hours. We had friends outside of work. Where are they? Gone. We don't have friends outside of work. We don't. What are our hobbies? Nothing. What do we do? Outside of work, no one does anything. That's wrong. That's just how this society has ended up being, right? You have to kind of get back there, right? So yes, we will crave because as in everyone craved social connection in the pandemic, and people said no, this is a fault of remote. No, that is not the problem of remote. You were not able to get out anywhere. Not the
Right.
problem of how you work, right? It,
Mm-hmm.
now later you will be able to travel, go to different places. Okay, you can't travel. Make friends around you, right? Go out, play, and practice a hobby. You can't do all of that with an office, right? I think it would be fine, first year, 2 years, but the moment you have say a family, you start hating commute, it's just not worth it, right? And in the office, you have people coming to you constantly. Hey, can I ask you a question for 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes won't take much time, right? How many times has it happened? Almost every day. And it's never 5 minutes, right? We all know the truth, right? It's 5 minutes and 5 minutes to get there, 5 minutes of talking, 5 minutes to end, 5 minutes to get back to your work. Half none. Context switching is the biggest. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Open offices, if you read about, like, we all went to this open offices from closed off, closed cubicles to open cubicles, and it was like, oh, this is the new age. What ended up happening is open offices were all headphones, noise cancellation headphones. Why is that better? Right? Like, it actually is the same thing as what we were doing earlier. So I think we are going to definitely get as in a real shock when companies start remote, which seems to be like in the next few months, and give it like 6 months, 12 months. Like, our cities are so congested. Like, look at Delhi, look at Bangalore, now look at Bombay. As in, I only know about these two cities very well, but look at how they are. Right? Like, just super congested. How long can we keep doing this? And infrastructure is the place where it can't be improved, only get worse, right? So I think remote is the only real solution. Take it out of these metro cities, go to smaller cities, tier two, tier three, enjoy your life there, much cheaper. And I think it's already happening. Top people will prefer it. There will be people like, no, I want to be in that hustle bustle of Bangalore, get that culture, which is fine. I think as in everyone has different stages in life. That's probably fine. But I think at some point, like, no, this is not what I want to. I can't be spending 3 hours of my day in traffic and then work in the office for 10. Just way too much. So I have a feeling we will get to this, kind of get back to remote very quickly at some point. And hybrid, I have the same pet peeve with hybrid. Like, okay, the folks are in the office, it's fine. What are the folks who are remote? They have the biggest FOMO ever, right? As in, they're going to be
No,
left out
hybrid, I
every
agree
single
with you, is
conversation.
is completely useless. I mean, you're trying
Completely
to
useless.
ride two boats.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Just does not make sense, right? I mean, staying in the same city, you can say 4 days in the office, 3 days in the office. That's fine. You're just trying to save commute time, right? But if you say everyone has to come at the same time, your team has to come at the same 3 days, and it's not really flexible. So let's see. I think as in at the end of the day, it's become every day is becoming more candidate talent driven market. So they are the ones who are driving decisions, right? Every day is kind of the equation is the ball is shifting towards their side. So they'll be the ones driving it. Companies may not want to drive it, but they
Right.
have to do it, right? Just kind of work with them. So I think that's just going to be how it is, right? People are increasingly leaving, studying their own courses. Top engineers are like, I will be teaching and doing my own cohort-based course, right? I'll be doing freelancing. How many engineers are doing freelancing on the side, right? I think that will just end up happening more and more.
This was the Spotlight, presented by The Podium. To listen to more such interesting conversations, log on to thepodium.in.